Hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to Old Iron Garage. Thank you for tuning in. So tonight on the bench I have another incomplete Kohler K-Series engine. It is in the condition that I received it in. I have not done a thing to it other than put it on the shelf and store it. My plan was basically just to sell it at some point in time, whenever I got time to get around to it, and now is the time. So anyways, let's take a look at it. So here it is. It is in the exact condition that it was when I found it, other than there was a piece of clear plastic sheet draped over it with a wire wrapped around it. Other than that, I have not done a single thing to this engine at all. I've taken a little bit of a look at it, but not much. All I really plan to do with this engine is identify the model, and basically just give it a look over and get it ready to sell, as is. I'm not going to complete this engine, I'm not going to get it running, nothing like that. I don't have the other parts for it, and if you watched my last video, you'll see that, or you would know that there is a guy coming tomorrow morning to look at a few old Kohler engines that I have. He found my listing on Marketplace for a K321 that is mostly complete, and I told him, well, hey, I got these other two, so he's going to take a look at those while he's here, and hopefully he buys all three. So anyways, yes, let's take a look. I do believe that somebody had started to rebuild this engine. This engine and the one in the last video were, which ended up being a Kohler K301, were part of a large purchase of engines and other items that I made a number of years ago. I bought all the engines at that location for $5 a piece, no matter what condition or whether they were incomplete or complete. I made him a price and he accepted my offer. So I only gave $5 for this engine. So let's take a look. So the reason why I believe somebody had started to rebuild this engine was because, first of all, they got it set like this. They got the wire, bolted on both sides, holding the crank in. So if it tips, the crank doesn't slide out. There is no connecting rod in it. The piston is there, but no connecting rod. And also because of the plastic draped over it. If they were not rebuilding it, why would they bother to drape plastic over it to keep dust off of it? So, but also, I noticed things like somebody had written here .035. Does that mean it's been punched, the bore has been punched out, .035? They bothered to brush some kind of goop on the crank here, and in here where the connecting rod goes, on the cam lobes, which some of that's been wiped off because I did rotate the engine before I realized that they had brushed some kind of goop on there. And then also, hold on, let me kind of turn that crank so you can see better. Hopefully. Up in the cylinder, they did the same thing. It looks like grease, but it is dry. It is kind of dry and rubbery. It's not wet like grease. So I don't know what that is, some kind of protective coating. But I don't know if you can see very well. If you look real closely, now that it's kind of focused in, you can see fresh crosshatch marks. So this cylinder was honed, at least. Yeah, so let's continue on around. Nothing really to see on this side. On this side, we do have a serial number, which I'm sure if you look that up would tell you what engine this is. But down here, we have the model number right there. Kohler K321, which would be a, 14 horsepower? I believe that would make this a 14 horsepower. I'm not super familiar with the Kohlers, but it is missing the oil seal here, but you can see the bearing is in there. And we move around to this side. We do have our points cover, and the cover that goes over the cam gear. Our valve train is in there, and unlike the last one, this valve train is complete. It is not missing a keeper. See, when the cam moves around, the piston, or no, I mean the valves go back down. I guess with the exception of that one, it's kind of sticking. And if you watch, you can see it pushing down ever so slowly. But the spring doesn't just push down or stay down. So the keepers are there, unlike in the last engine. I will try to get that valve moving before the guy comes tomorrow. Let's see. It appears that the valves have been relapped. The guy lapped the valves. You can see it a little better on that one. Those valves have been lapped. So yeah, somebody was in the process of rebuilding this engine. It's too bad I don't have all the rest of the parts to it. So anyways, I'm going to get you guys put up in the camera mount on the wall, and I'm just going to take a little bit of a closer look at this thing. I'm going to try to get the piston out so we can actually really see the bore. And so that the guy that's coming tomorrow can take a look at the bore. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this wire that's around the snout of the crank. Come on, get off of there. I'm going to put this back on when I'm all done. So for now, I'm just going to lay it off to the side. I'm going to see if I can coax this crankshaft to come out. There we go. It is budging, so I'm actually going to spin it around the other way. There. That was pretty easy. Now here you can see some of that goop that I was talking about that was smeared on some of the parts to seal them off. It is rather dry. It might be grease. I mean, it looks like grease that dried out. So maybe it's grease that is just really old, or maybe it's been on there like, I don't know, a long time. Long enough for it to dry out, apparently. Now we can take a look into the block a little bit better. It does have the, what is it? Balance gears or whatever. They're the two little gears that are on the other side of the crankshaft opposite of the camshaft. Yeah, those are in there. I don't really know what those are exactly. I'm thinking they're for balance. I don't know. I am not a Kohler guy. So, I'm going to lay this on this side back here and bring you guys down and we'll take a look. Alright, yep. So here we are from the bottom side. These are those two gears I was talking about. I believe those are for balance. I don't know. You tell me. I'm not a Kohler guy. I don't have anything against Kohler engines. They're fantastic engines. I just haven't really owned too many. There you can see all the goop that is. I'm just going to go ahead and say that's probably what, old dried out grease. It has kind of almost a rubbery feel to it though. I don't know. You tell me what that is. If you know, please tell me down in the comments so that I know. It was also on the camshaft lobes, but by spinning the crankshaft, I turned the camshaft and it kind of wiped it off the lobes. So, but it appears that all the internals are here and in good order. I do believe somebody was in the process of rebuilding this engine. Now, I did see on the one side they had written in like a red paint marker .035. But I don't know exactly what that means. I don't believe that means that the bore's been punched out, because here, this piston, if you look right there, says standard, STD, meaning standard size piston for a standard size bore, meaning that this has not been punched out. So, yeah, I don't know what that .035 means exactly. So if you know, if you are familiar with rebuilding these, and you know why that may have been written on there, please let me know in the comments. But I'm going to work on trying to remove that piston so that the guy that's coming tomorrow can have a better look at the bore. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys back up on the camera mount on the wall, and then I will continue. All right, so the piston is stuck due to whatever is in there, the old dried out grease or whatever it is. So I'm going to take this pry bar, put the soft end, the plastic handle, the butt end of the plastic handle, inside the piston. I'm going to take my trusty ball peen hammer and give it some taps, see if I can get it to come out. Looks like it's moving. It's definitely not rusted in place. It's just whatever that goop is that's in there is kind of holding it in place. Here it comes. That's weird. I've never seen anything like that before. I wonder if that's to help with lubrication. Okay, so I'll show you what I found here. I'm just going to bring you guys back down again, and we'll take a look. So we now have the piston out of the bore. So I said that that's weird, and I wonder if that's for lubrication. I've never seen that. We have these little marks kind of stamped into the piston, just on the just on two opposite sides. It's not all the way around. It's just on those two sides. It's kind of a square area. I wonder if that's somewhere for oil to sit in those grooves to provide extra lubrication. I'm not sure. If you know, if you're familiar with rebuilding these engines and you know what that is, please tell me. Otherwise, some staining marks from maybe moisture getting in somehow. But otherwise, this piston looks to be in good usable condition. I don't know that I'd say it's new, but I don't know. Is that just a staining mark from moisture getting in there? I have not a clue. Not a clue. So let's take a look at the bore now. You see some vertical lines here, but that's just grease. That's not scoring marks. So I'm going to spend a little time cleaning up this bore so that the potential buyer can get a better look at it. And I'll bring you guys back when I'm done with that. Alright, so I got the cylinder cleaned up and the piston cleaned up a bit. Got all the old dried up grease that I'm assuming is dried up grease off of there. And aside from a little bit of staining from some moisture. Cylinder looks really good. They did a good job cleaning up this cylinder aside from, let's see if I can get it to focus up there. Aside from, there's not much of a cross hatch. It's mostly the honing marks are just kind of around the cylinder. There should be a 45-degree cross hatch. But aside from that, the cylinder looks good. So, I mean, as long as this bore still measures within spec, you know, not tapered, not too big around, not, out around or anything, I would say give it a light 45-degree cross hatch, and also knock out those, take out those staining marks, and then that would be good. The piston, I cleaned up. Like I said earlier, it says STD, which means standard, meaning standard size piston. And I believe this to be a new piston that got put in with brand new rings. I say that because it's probably not going to focus well enough for you to see it. But the rings are not worn at all. They still have, like, there's these tiny little machining grooves, sort of. There's tiny little grooves machined into the sealing surface where it comes in contact with the cylinder wall. And those are all still there. These rings are not worn at all. These rings have not been run. And the only other thing I can find on it is, again, some staining marks from moisture getting in there. I don't think water sat in there. I think it's just, maybe it was sweating and just got a little bit of condensation in there. But, I mean, this is basically a brand new piston, brand new rings, and a freshly honed cylinder. The valves had been lapped. Yeah, it's just the only thing that I can tell is missing internally is a connecting rod. And then this crankshaft, they had put that goop on there. I think it's grease. That looks like old white lithium grease there. And then they had put some of it on here too. I can feel it with my fingernail. This would need cleaned up here. But other than that, as long as everything mics within spec on those three surfaces, there, and there, then this crank should be good to use. But yeah, anyway, so that's that. Yeah, that's that. Well, that's as far as I'm going to go on this engine. I accomplished what I was wanting to get done, which was basically just identify the model and kind of assess the condition of the engine. Now I just have to put a price on it and hope the guy buys it. Maybe we can come to an agreement on a price, and yeah. All right, well, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button to let me know you liked it, and make sure you hit that subscribe button to see more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.